Right now, you could buy a 2014 Toyota Corolla in the US for around $10,000. Meanwhile, in Japan, you could get something way better for the same money or even less. I'm not talking about some junk cars either. I'm talking about cars like the Toyota Crown Athlete. It's a full-size luxury sedan with rear power and way better build quality. In Japan, that car might cost you just $3,500. In the US, you'll pay double or even quadruple if you can even find one, that is. And no, this isn't some fairy tale. This isn't a too good to be true kind of story. This is the reality of the Japanese car market. To really drive the point home, I have some other examples. For example, in Japan, you can find a clean Toyota Chaser for $8,000 to $12,000. In the US, good luck finding one for less than $25,000. In horrible condition, by the way. Let's talk about a more iconic car like the Toyota Supra. In Japan, a non-turbo Supra in a clean condition might sell for $15,000 to $20,000. Try buying that same car in Europe or the United States and you're looking at $40,000 minimum, sometimes even way more.
What? We're flying to Philadelphia! Oh, hell no!
So you might be wondering, why are these cars so cheap in Japan? Well, it's not just one reason, it's a mix of weird factors that come together to create this weird situation where cars are ridiculously undervalued inside Japan. So if you want to know all these weird reasons, stick to the end. Let's start with the first and most obvious reason, which is the Sha-ken system, or the Sha-ken. See, every 2 years you have to pass the Sha-ken inspection, and the older your car gets, the more expensive that inspection becomes. And this isn't some normal inspection either. This is a fully complex inspection that can cost you anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. And remember, you have to pay this every 2 years. So even if the car is in perfect condition, for a lot of people, it's just easier to sell the car and buy a new one, because keeping one is so expensive. That's why the average car ownership duration in Japan is from 5 to 8 years, while in the United States is 8 to 11 years. Now let's get to a more interesting factor though, which is culture. See, when we think of Japanese car culture, most of us think about the JDM underground, the street racers, the tuners, the drift scene, the kind of things we'd see in games and movies. But that's not how normal people in Japan treat cars. For most Japanese people, a car is just a tool, and they like their tools to be new, clean, and up to date. Driving an old car is sometimes seen as irresponsible or even embarrassing, especially in business. So because of the Sha-ken system and the culture in Japan, new cars are bought often and used cars just flood the market, which causes the price to plummet. This is literally supply and demand, basic economics. Finally, let's talk about something else, which is the fact that Japan has an insanely competitive car market. Japan is one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world, and manufacturers are always releasing new models, dealerships are always offering deals, and financing is super easy. Fun fact, interest rates in Japan are extremely low, sometimes even close to zero, so buying new is just way too convenient, and that pushes even more used cars into the market. See, now that we know why Japanese people like to sell their cars a lot, what actually happens to these used cars? Do they get sold to a dealer? Do they get sold to a buyer? Do they get exported directly? What actually goes on? So let's mention the Japanese auction. Japan has one of the biggest car auction networks in the world. Thousands of cars are auctioned every week and prices are set by supply and demand. And guess what? There's way more supply than demand for older cars. So all the cars you see in auction are extremely cheap. I'm sure many of you could have probably already seen those videos of people walking around in Japanese auction just looking at extremely cheap cars like the Nissan Skyline or the Toyota Supra. But before you get tempted and start looking for an exporter or ordering a car from Japan right now, let's ask the real question. Is it actually worth it? First, let's speak about the pros and then we'll speak about the cons. So we've already talked about the price, but another more important pro is actually Japan has a strict culture of keeping a car in good shape. So Japanese owners typically maintain their cars religiously. I mean, oil changes by the mile, clean interiors, low mileage. You'll see cars that are 10 years old but look brand new. And cars in Japan often comes with higher specs compared to the same models in the US or Europe. They come with better engines, better trims, better interiors, all for the same price or less. This ties back to the fact that, like I said, Japan is an extremely competitive market for automakers. Now, not everything is sunshine and rainbows, however. Let's talk about the cons of actually importing a car from Japan. Number one is that shipping isn't cheap. You'll have to pay to get the car to your country. You'll have to deal with customs, taxes, and in some case, legal headaches. Now, most of the time, it will still be cheaper, but you have to think about the time and the headache you'll spend on importing a car from Japan. Some cars could be no-brainers and are absolutely worth it to import from Japan, like a Toyota Crown Athlete. Other cars, for example, like a Corolla, not so much. You'll only be saving $1,000 to $2,000. Another problem is the fact that not every car in the Japanese market is a gem. Even though it's a Japanese auction, it's still an auction. Some cars are sold at auction simply because they need an expensive repair, or they had a previous accident. So unless you have a trusted agent or exporter, you might end up buying blind, which is always a gamble. With all of that being mentioned, the net gain is usually still worth it. Because even after you pay shipping and fees, you'll usually end up with a car that's in better condition with better features for the same price you pay for a basic car locally. And remember, the Japanese used car market isn't a secret anymore, but it's still one of the best places to get a great deal if you know what you're doing. And just remember, it's not about buying the cheapest car, it's about buying the best car for your money, which includes mileage, which includes condition, which includes spec. And this is why Japan can be a heaven for car enthusiasts who wants to get a car that looks good, drives well for cheap. If you like car documentaries like this, be sure to support the channel by hitting like and subscribe, and also tell me down in the comments down below what I can actually do to make my videos better. Thank you guys, Alexer out.